back.
Let's just jump right into
Let's
it.
just jump right
into it.
Yeah.
Well, we're here in Los Angeles.
Hello, Ralph on computer.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
I am not there in Los Angeles. I am super bummed about it. It's here's the honest truth. I missed my flight. I missed my flight, and it was not possible to book another one. And I'm an idiot. I basically packed a billion things into the day before I was going to go. And I was like, oh, I'll leave enough time at the airport. It'll be fine. I'll cut it a bit fine, but it'll be all right. I know it'll be okay, because it usually takes me an hour to get to the airport. So I'll go leave an hour early. Massive traffic jam on the way there. Just complete standstill. I need to be at the airport in 20 minutes, and I'm 30% the way through that car ride. I'm it's just not going to happen.
When you have to call it, that's always the most oh man, I gotta call it.
And you have to make the decision with the cab driver, by the way. You can't make the decision on your own. You have to talk it through with him, and he gives you his advice, and you think about it, and then together you decide you're not catching that flight, man,
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, it was 10 p.m. And I just see on Discord, the little
paragraph.
preview, and I was like, he sent an essay, so I know it's bad.
Yeah, so I'm really bummed about it. It's the first Game Awards that I've missed in forever. It's obviously one of the rare times that we actually get to hang out in person, which is, Australia's too far, man. Say again?
Is the rare times we get to hang out in person, which is whatever, is what you just
No,
said.
what I was trying to segue, listen, I also got up at 4 a.m. to record this today, so if I'm not entirely lucid, I apologize.
No,
but my point is that it's, obviously hanging out with you guys is very important to me at the same time as well. It's just I'm just annoyed. I'm genuinely annoyed that it all went down this way, because obviously a huge amount of work went into that trip as well, meetings and shit and whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, anyway. So I do apologize. I wish I was there. But the laptop sort of awkwardly works, right? You guys are staring off screen at a laptop.
Looking at you.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what am I looking at?
I'm just looking at you. I never really adjust the camera anyway.
Yeah, it works.
So we're in this.
Anyway, how are you guys? How's the Game Awards been? What's been happening?
Game Awards has been productive and nice, and it's a good year. Everybody's excited about all the games and everything they're working on or everything they're covering. It's nice despite
a shit year.
Everything else.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into the show, but audience energy was really good. A lot of big surprises, a lot of things that didn't leak. We should probably say that we are in this studio space that Ralph so kindly sorted out for us.
Good thing that I did, though, because we were going to use my hotel room.
Yeah.
So if we hadn't organized a studio, we'd be doubly screwed.
Also, this place is charging us DLC prices.
They're
for
doing
chairs.
They're do you need an extra chair? $10. Pay it right now before you get the chair.
It's it's bad when you describe it as Oblivion era rules, where it's that's the microtransaction era we're working with.
Yeah,
It's are you breathing extra air? That's $2.
Instead of horse armor, we've got that chair.
Yeah.
But we are chatting with the CD Projekt Red team as well, because one of the big reveals we're recording this Friday morning, from Thursday night was The Witcher 4. No big deal.
We're also here with Timur Hussein.
Yeah.
Hello.
What up?
Hi. It's always when we're in person.
Podcast Goblin.
You're here.
Podcast Goblin is here.
Nice shirt, Timur. Tell us about that one.
It's a simple request.
Okay.
Remaster Bloodborne, put it on PC.
Wow.
That's all I'll say about that.
I've never heard of that game before. What is that?
You should give it a go.
Tell us about that one.
You couldn't find me on various platforms talking about it. Let's not take the precious time we have talking about the greatest game of all time.
I went on the Giant Bomb thing, and they did a quiz show, and one of the questions was, "What city does Bloodborne
Did you get it?
Yeah, I did get it. Yeah,
Hell
of course I got it.
brother.
Come on, yeah, I can do it. Yeah,
No.
but it's been good.
Yeah.
It's been nice to spend some time with you guys. But there is
Thank
a
you
lot.
for coming on our show. Because Tam and I have been, with obviously the team at Gamespot, we had a show in partnership with the Game Awards that we did from LA Live, outside the JW, and
sick.
It was good.
The thing is that so we started doing it, and I turned to Tam at one point and I went, "Holy shit, have we pulled this off?"
Yeah.
Because it's been a long few weeks, man. I have been.
It was also really wholesome. Yeah, we've been stressed.
Been very stressed.
Yeah, it was also really wholesome because usually you don't see developers out in the wild. You see them passing by, and we obviously we are privileged that, and some of them we know them, so we can walk up and be like, "Hey, how you doing? Good to see you again." But the general public doesn't have that opportunity. So like people were walking by and like stopping in their tracks and going, "Oh, that's Hashino-san and that's Sojima-san."
Yeah.
And like suddenly being like, "Can you sign this for me?"
Kitase-san was signing.
Yeah, Kitase-san was outside of our booth.
That's cool.
Signing stuff, and like it wasn't overwhelming. Like he signed a couple things, took a few pictures, and then just left on his way. It was really cool. Yeah.
But no, I mean the awards were great. I guess we'll jump into. Let's just jump into it. Jump into the award show.
Harrison Ford was there. That was cool. Got to be in the same room as him. That was cool.
I immediately looked at you.
The highlight of the entire show for me was seeing just how short Todd Howard is.
Oh, here we go.
So
leave him alone.
funny.
Right? Leave him alone.
With him, with Troy Baker and Harrison Ford and Todd standing there, man. I saw a tweet that's like, they look like a Wi-Fi signal. You know what I mean? Because the angle is just straight this.
I ain't saying nothing. That guy is a genius. I will just call him that and leave it to be.
It's just,
Also, it doesn't help that like Troy Baker looks like a scarecrow. He's tall.
Yeah, Troy is
really
very tall.
And Jonathan's
Jonathan's
really
also very
tall.
tall. I think that he got done dirty there.
He
but
did.
Also, like,
But shouts to Fallout. And fucking can't wait to talk about Indiana Jones. Because it rocks.
Oh, right.
Yes,
yeah, right. Of
yeah.
course.
good game.
Well, I was going to say, we haven't
Absolutely.
even got a chance to talk about
Not
that.
eligible for a game award because it
It will
released
be.
so late. Next year.
For
it
next
will
year,
be.
yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
But everyone will have forgotten because it came out this
I
year.
don't know. It's like the staying
It
power.
is.
Anyway, Aaron Paul was there. That was weird. We thought
Snoop Dogg
was there. That was interesting.
Aaron Paul's segment was weird, man.
Okay, it was
It
weird
was
in person.
weird.
Sexual chemistry
In
was
person,
Did
was
it
like,
not look like they were about to kiss the entire time?
If you
Did
go
I-
and look at it, they get closer and closer
get
together.
really
Exactly.
both married to other
The
people.
final moment, I'm pretty sure like their bodies touch at one point.
Let me
And I
tell
was
you
like,
that an
oh my
entire
God.
arena, like everyone was holding their breath, like what the
Everyone's
fuck
like,
is going on?
People were like shuffling in their seats to be like, oh God, what's going on?
But I mean, I
Okay,
think the real
well.
celebrity for me was Statler and Waldorf.
They were like pretty. The jokes were very on point. Like it's like all the stuff you see in comments, all the stuff
It
you
was
hear.
funny.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that is. I mean, I think overall,
The
I think
Muppets
Jeff
read the comments.
did a really good job of addressing criticisms from last year.
1,000,000%.
Yes,
But having them do it in such a comedic fashion
I think
was fucking great.
it was
No,
very smart. I
no.
was-
I tell you,
didn't
this
like-
is what happened. Jeff Keighley wrote all those jokes. I swear to God. I don't
Yeah.
know this for a fact, but I swear to God he wrote those jokes.
I assume
stuff
so,
would
yeah.
get run past
Yeah.
him for sure.
And
But
so
like,
it's like-
but I think
and I
having
reckon
that
it's
is like
just-
the framing of it being them from the Muppets, like Jeff just standing on stage and just
just
taking
getting
it.
roasted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the older people just roasting the guy. He definitely knew that stuff was going to happen. But I do genuinely think it's worth saying, like, he did a lot of the criticisms from last year, he responded to in a very meaningful way. Like that as a
Game Changer
comedic,
Awards?
Game Changer Awards. And then there was that little speech he did about, the state
Layoffs.
of the industry, layoffs and stuff. That was something that he avoided last time, or kind of like gave lip service to. And we all criticized him, and he came back and he, in a very earnest way, addressed it, which I think
Yeah.
was really cool.
Props.
I would say maybe one criticism was that there were some awards just like speeding
Yeah,
through.
yeah.
But I mean, as always,
There's always that like balance where some years it's like, oh, the awards, too many speeches. Oh, not enough
no
speeches.
speeches. I mean, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's never going to be perfect.
But no, I think overall the show
memorable moments, good announcements.
almost cried at Okami too.
It was-
Jeff
Well,
Keighley
Jeff
almost
did.
cried over
Jeff,
Okami.
Yeah.
he
It was
cried
like,
about that and something else at the back end as well. Like he was
No,
getting
it was
really emotional.
Okami because when he was like, if you're a gamer, you know how
Yeah.
special this announcement
Yeah.
is.
Not only the game.
Jeff's a real one for Okami.
I guess I'm not a gamer.
Not only the game.
That's the thing. Like,
kidding.
yeah, I guess I'm not a gamer.
I was like, oh, Okami, cool. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
it, you know?
Okami is an incredible resurgence to see that again. Like that's one of those games that you just think will never return because
That
it
was me for Onimusha. I didn't
Yeah.
think Onimusha was never
It's
going to
such an
return.
era of
100%.
Capcom.
I agree
yeah.
completely.
Wait, Ralph, can I just tell you? So I was sat next to Tam for Elden Ring, okay? Well, I was sat next to her for the whole thing. The first frame of Elden Ring comes up. Tam leans over to me and goes, I know those bricks.
Yeah, no, for real though. I actually had the same sort of thought. I'm like, that looks like the Elden Ring
And
engine.
then it's the next shot, and he goes, I know that fire animation.
Yeah, and then the Sekiro jump animation. I was like, yep, I've
You're
seen
like, wait
that
a
one
minute,
before
yeah.
many times. This
Yeah.
is definitely them.
And it was just between that and Jeff Baccalar getting out his phone to translate what the Black Myth Wukong team were saying, even though they had a translator on stage.
But you were
Nice.
louder for, like, you were excited for Elden Ring, but Lucy was saying that you were louder for
Onimusha.
Onimusha, yeah, you just went, what?
I think it really
too.
like I think the kind of general takeaway for me was like, it's the greatest era of Capcom is making a comeback, which
Absolutely.
is like, that's why I was gonna say Okami is mad, because that's Capcom of a certain era.
2006?
Yeah, PS2, PS1 era, and the fact that they brought it back, not only Okami and Onimusha,
Kamiya's back.
at a studio
hold
called
on, I'm sorry.
Clovers.
Clovers.
Which
That's
is
crazy.
one that is, there's got to be some drama behind that. Two, that is a very bold statement.
Yeah,
They
that's-
know what they're doing when they name that studio Clovers, and like that is very, very exciting.
It's God Hand too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, God Hand too, like Beautiful Joe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure he's got original ideas, but like what it means for game design and what it means for where Capcom is, because Capcom went into that kind of generation and approach to designing games when they were at their absolute most confident. Like post Resi, they were like, we're on top of the world. Street Fighter's rocking it. Resi's rocking it. You know, Dino Crisis. We're gonna do this dumb shit, and it was some of the best gaming.
Yeah.
Right now, Resi on top of the world.
Yep.
Street Fighter's doing really well.
Monster Hunter.
They have Monster Hunter.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
It is them being like, coming out and being like, we've got this shit on lock.
Yeah.
And now we're
Yeah.
gonna do that dumb shit that you love, which is incredibly
I don't know
exciting.
if I
I
was
really-
calling Okami dumb shit.
Oh no, it's I mean like
Onimusha-
like going dumb with these
right.
ideas. It's
Cool,
like,
crazy.
I
Yeah.
was like,
like-
you leave my girl Amateras.
oh no, I'm a known lover of Ami as well. So
Onimusha was the one though. I had went up to go to the bathroom, and as I'm walking back down the aisle, it's like it's popping up, and like I'm walking down the aisle, and I see him absorbing the souls
Yeah.
of the gauntlet, and I
Yeah,
like literally
yeah.
I stumbled into a row, and I looked. It was like Morpheus is fighting Neo. Like I literally stumbled into it, and I was just like, "Ah!"
it's fantastic.
I also feel as though this does actually get us one step closer to a Dino Crisis revival.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, you
And
just
well,
tick it
like,
off the
Turok's
list at this point,
back.
and you've got to do it.
Turok is back,
and
yeah.
so eventually Capcom has to get there. There's no way around it. It has to happen at some
I
point.
feel like that's the implication, that, and they have to know that when they call a studio Clovers and put Hideki Kamiya's name on a game and then say Okami, they know the house of cards that is happening. Like people are going to be thinking about Dino Crisis. They're going to be thinking about, you know, Beautiful Joe, God Hand, all that kind of stuff from that era. So exciting time.
Yeah, just
Love
just
to see it.
significant. Yeah, it's like it for me. It's like not even Okami. It's just like, oh, okay. So now Clovers is going to be a thing.
Yep.
Moving ahead. That's great. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like history right there.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
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 But speaking of Turok, doesn't like look that much like Turok. But
It's
I
third
thought it-
person, firstly, and
Yeah.
there was no
Yeah.
brain-sucking gun, so I was feeling pretty disappointed about that.
At the beginning, I thought it was Arc 2, which
that's totally what I thought.
That's
it was.
what I thought. I was
Yeah.
like, is that Vin Diesel but skinnier? I'm like, no, it's not Vin Diesel. It's
Yeah.
definitely not Vin Diesel. It's a different character.
I also and also where's that game? I thought that was meant to be out this year.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought it was out, and it
Yeah.
just passed us by.
No Hollow Knight Silk Song either.
No Half-Life 3.
Oh
Yeah,
my
what was
god.
that
Oh my
rumor, man?
God.
That rumor really bubbled up real hot and
Imagine
fast.
thinking that Gabe Newell would leave his house. Come on, guys. We were such fools.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
He can't go anywhere because he's got knives all over himself. So he's like, I can't travel.
I saw
PSA hates me.
people like writing like fanfic of like what was gonna happen. I saw people be like, Jeff's gonna bring him out and Gabe's gonna come out and then the lights are gonna
And then
go
they'll
down
kiss.
and a 3 is gonna pop up and it's all gonna tie back together to like Keeley covering Valve back in the day and it's gonna be a 10-year anniversary thing.
Well,
someone actually wrote this
did-
whole
he
entire
did
thing.
start
You
My
did.
God.
When
He
he
did start
started
talking
talking
about that.
about thing, I'm like, oh my god, it actually is happening. And then he was just like,
Yeah.
he just
And you
started
can
talking
read it on
randomly. I'm like,
GameSpot.com.
Yeah, you can read
Yep.
that. You can read that fine feature on Gamespot.com.
Yeah, true.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
No.
So, I mean, it might be good to go through some of the major reveals. I'll just I'd fire off a few.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
go for it.
definitely.
But I really like to look at this Thick of Thieves game from Warren Spector.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not just me. I was
Yeah.
very
No.
like, this is
No.
cool.
My
It
shit.
reminded
Yeah.
me of what like the promise. It's gonna sound crazy. The promise of Redfall when Redfall was kind of first like where it's like, oh, it's Arcane doing their thing with multiplayer. Maybe there's something there. This is like how I wanted it to be.
I see it differently because I think it reminds me of like that game Hood. You know, like there was that
yeah,
Heist
yeah.
game.
Oh, I
Remember
forgot
that one?
about
Which
that.
is
Yeah.
because it's like a competitive immersive sim. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you have to steal a thing against each other. Whereas Hood didn't really go anywhere, and Hood was also quite actiony. He was quite focused on
Yeah.
traps, whatever else. This seems much more like sim, at least from this like CG trailer that we got or whatever. But I really just like the idea a lot, and I think it would have been cool to I think it's cool that Warren Spector's making something like this. I was actually going to go behind closed doors and look at it while I was at the Game Awards.
Damn,
So I was super bummed that I missed
Man.
that appointment, obviously. But yeah, that really jumped out at me. I'm like, all right, yeah, cool.
I want to
I'm
see
down.
that idea like fully realized, like the immersive sim where it's an actual like crafted immersive sim, but then in multiplayer, because they did show little scenarios that looked like just a single player, constructed immersive sim type thing. So I'm like, how's that going to work? I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I'm just checking because I played a game while I was here, and I'm just checking there's no embargo on it because
Okay.
I saw
Okay,
some
do
cool
that.
shit.
Oh, so you played the Thick of Thieves?
No,
we
we
played
went
a few
to,
other things.
Another thing.
One thing.
Okay.
I'll let you know when the PR person texts back.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. There was also Shadow Labyrinth, which is
What the hell?
Pac-Man, Metroidvania, Grim Dark. What the fuck was this?
It is the
man?
Bomberman Act Zero for Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
So the thing is, so I actually missed the pre-show. So our countdown show went until 4:30 on the dot.
Yeah.
And then I had Greg Miller's ticket,
Right.
and he transferred it to me.
That's crazy that I would have been stuck sitting next to him.
But then,
But
then-
get
but
wrecked, Greg.
yeah, damn. But then my ticket didn't work, so I was stood
okay.
outside. I got in, and then I got in like 4:57. So I missed everything.
Right on. Yeah.
Yeah, this
sure.
was definitely.
I saw Ryan Payton outside because he won the award
Yeah,
for Batman
yeah.
Arkham, and then he came out just to like get some air. And then I was like, "Hey," and he's like, "Are you good?" And I was like, I think I'm not allowed in.
Just have my
I
ticket,
think I'm not
please.
allowed in.
Yeah,
But no,
that-
they fixed it. They were great.
what were we
Nice.
talking? The Pac-Man game is weird, and I'm like, all right, I'll try it.
I just think that they wanted to make a Metroidvania and they needed some IP to attach to it. That's my
Yeah.
theory.
Wait,
They're
so
like,
there's
let's just do
Pac-Man.
this, right?
Okay, so how do I explain? So for someone who hasn't seen it, how do I explain it? So it's
Oh man.
kind of like a 2D Metroidvania sci-fi. You're like
Yes.
a hooded, mysterious character. It's a grim, slimy, crazy, over-the-top world, and then all of a sudden, like, you have to eat souls, and then you can summon a giant circle out of souls that is
Yeah.
shaped exactly like Pac-Man,
What the
and
fuck?
clear enemies. And it's based on the secret level thing, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
Oh, have you?
Right,
Has
go.
anyone seen Secret Level
Yeah.
yet?
Well,
I haven't.
I haven't personally, but we had someone go and watch all of it that we will be reporting on.
Yeah.
Apparently it's not great, I've heard. Apparently it's just like kind of commercials, like just sort of tech trailers, and I don't know, it sounds like a bit of a bug. Anyway, Midnight Murder Club. This one was very surprising because when I saw the PlayStation logo flash up, I'm like, wait, what? What the hell is this?
Yeah.
Do you remember this? It was this kind of this social horror game, like, get together with some friends and point a flashlight at stuff and shenanigans go down. I didn't know that this was in development. Was this earlier announced? Did I miss this?
The name
believe
sounds
it
really
was
familiar
announced,
to me.
yeah.
I believe it was,
was-
already announced. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Midnight Murder Club then. That's from Velen Studios. There's like a test available for it right now.
Yeah.
I want to get Jake's reaction to this one. You might have been interested to get Sifu 2.
Yeah.
You're getting Rocket League with feet.
I'm not
How do
gonna
you
lie.
feel about this?
I was pretty excited, and I do not know or understand or like football or soccer, but I
Okay.
like them so much,
Yeah.
and I like their mechanics and like how they do things that I was like, this makes sense for them. Like, this is cool. It's not what I expected, but like I will play it. I will totally play it.
I feel like this is a
GDC
play
saw
that
it.
it's going to blow
Oh,
up
yeah.
and go absolutely massive. This is Rematch we're talking about, by the way. It's the
Yeah.
new one from Slow Clap. It's a football game, but like it looks very much like Rocket League. I feel like this is just going to blow up, make heaps of money, and then Epic is going to buy Slow Clap. And
then
they'll just
put it
add it to
into
their
Fortnite.
portfolio of games, you know?
It's
It'll be
weird
a
how
mobile spin-off, yada yada.
it's weird how it's so abstracted from what Sifu is, but it also somehow just makes sense.
Yeah, the
'Cause,
DNA
like,
is there.
Yeah, because it doesn't look like a high-speed sports game. It looks like there's strategy and timing and some level of
Sure.
like execution involved, which is really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Agreed. Obviously, The Witcher 4 is a big reveal. We will talk about that one very soon with
Yeah.
the CD Projekt Red development team. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But Elden Ring, besides the bricks and the fire animation, do you want to actually explain what this is, Tam? Because it was very
Yeah.
confusing. Like the trailer really didn't explain it at all. I only found out what it was when I got an email from Bandai explaining it. So do you want
Okay.
to tell us?
So it's a multiplayer survival game that is set in the Elden Ring universe, but I've heard mixed things about
Parallel.
it.
It's a parallel universe.
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
parallel universe. That was interesting. Initially, I saw it, and there was like, a bunch of like stuff in there that kind of relates to core Elden Ring story stuff, but it doesn't seem like they are picking up on that. There's like because they originally had like a dream catching mechanic that they ripped out of the game very late. So I was like, oh, it's all night stuff, so maybe they're putting that back in. But it seems like a very experimental idea, and it's a roguelike where you kind of team up with. I believe the map is static, so it never changes.
It
Is
changes.
It changes?
It changes.
Okay.
Yep.
So what I heard was like the map is the same, which it seems like it's wrong, but the stuff that you find is randomized, and like the
enemy placement
and the
as well.
enemy placement is random. What they've done is they've looked at the community. Clearly,
I was gonna say Bingo Brawlers is gonna go pop the fuck off.
Yeah, any From Software game, a few months after people have completed it, you go to YouTube and you'll find videos that are like completing Elden Ring with only randomized weapons, or like every enemy is Margit, the Fell Omen, or like that kind of stuff. People are doing randomizer stuff, and they've clearly just gone like, people love this weird shit. Let's make a game around it.
I watched a really good one where it was one controller going into 2 games.
Yeah.
And it was like, can I beat 2 Elden Rings with one controller?
Yeah.
And
Shit.
It was really good. Star Zero
Oh my
Crystal.
God.
Yeah. So I believe
Jesus Christ.
the kind of loop is like you spend 2 in-game days or a number of in-game days preparing for a boss fight, like getting equipment, fighting. Like, is it two?
Basically. There's actually one boss fight at the end of each. So it's 3 nights, one boss fight at the end of each night, and one really big boss fight at the third.
Yeah, exactly. So you're effectively just kind of like teaming up to go through the core loop of a Souls game together, which is really interesting to me. I think it's very, very different from what they have ever done, but I think it's one, I'm inclined to be a little more open-minded towards them, because obviously I love that studio and the team and the games they make. So, and I'm not traditionally a survival person, but I like the mechanics of Elden Ring and the way it feels and the world enough to give it a go. And it also, I feel like, is important to that studio in a lot of ways. It doesn't seem like Miyazaki's involved.
No.
That means he's off making Bloodborne 2, inshallah. But it seems like, and he's always, since like last time I spoke to him and talked about like what's this next for the studio, one of his big kind of mission statements is to try and push people below him into creative positions a bit more and give them the freedom and the kind of some guidance to try things, because he wants them to kind of diversify what they're capable of and explore different kind of strategies. And let's be honest, there's clearly a powerful business case for what this is. It's clearly trends that are recent that they're looking at and going, people love this kind of game, should we make it? And if they can figure out how to chase that trend or realize that trend, but do it in their own way, it's a pretty good place for them to be, because it allows them to be a little more, less reliant on a single game doing extremely well, which most of their games, as long as they keep up the quality, goes. But if they can have a steady source of like, a lifestyle game, which everyone tries to get, that would be amazing. And they have earned the benefit of the doubt from a massive audience right now, that they could go for something weird and people will at least give it a try, even if they like it. So I'm very excited to see what it does to them.
I love it. I love the idea. I think one of the only limitations I see is that they've said it's either 1 player or 3 players. That's it. No 2-player. And I think that's a bummer, because I think it's easy to wrangle 1 person in, but making a third is like much harder. I know it sounds dumb, but it is though. Like,
why do you think it's like that?
Why? I think it is. Go on.
I was saying, why do you think it's like that?
Well, I don't know. They didn't explain why, but I'm going to guess it's a balancing thing where they're like, they can tune it for 1 or they can tune it for 3, but then adding another scaling for 2 people is a whole different thing. Okay. Yeah. Or maybe they just don't have any tuning at all, and they're just like, well, if you want to solo, it's up to you, buddy. So that's a guess though. But I think that's a bummer. It would have been nice to see it scale and give that 2-player option, or just base it around 2 people, because I mean, really, Souls is ultimately, very often when you summon, you're summoning in 1 person with you most of the time. It just kind of would have felt better to have it built around 1 versus 3 personally.
Can you still use?
But I don't know.
That's Spirit Ashes.
Sorry, built around 2 rather than 3.
Yeah, I don't know if you can use Spirit Ashes. But also it kind of feels like, I don't think this is the answer, but it kind of feels like it could be a differentiator thing, because if you wanted to do 2, play the or Elden Ring, I guess, like having a summon, it's a different experience for sure, but a 3 is definitely unlike anything else they've done before.
Yeah.
And with like the except for the seamless co-op mod on PC, that it feels like it's unique enough that if they're trying to do something weird with their game, having that kind of be I don't understand it. I suspect it's because of balance, because bosses get harder the more people you add in, and when you add in like randomized elements that are new to the design process, it could be something they're not familiar or comfortable with. So maybe it's just like up and down, and that's it.
Yeah.
Speaking of up and down, is my chair small?
Probably. Yeah. Mine was.
Is it one of those? Is it one of the DLC chairs?
Yeah.
Is that why?
Actually, no, it's not. The DLC chair is
It's over there,
puck
right?
chair looking over at the table.
The crank is on your.
The reveal of show for me personally. Should we pause while Jake's doing that? We'll just keep rolling.
Keep going.
Reveal of show for me personally. Project Robot.
Yes.
The new Ueda-san game.
Oh,
my
yes.
god. The art design in that game, the whole setup, everything about it. I was just like, absolutely, I just lost my shit, man.
As soon as that character, like, it kind of pans out and you can see the sort of pattern that's on Wanda's
Immediately,
thing.
yeah.
And then he starts climbing. It's like, ooh, yeah,
Totally.
baby.
It was cool to see them like play to their strengths almost. Like they're like, hey, we're gonna show you the things that you know about us.
Yes.
And like, but in
Yeah.
a different way, because now it's like, oh, it's a mech game? They're
a-
doing mech?
I think it's weird. Their games are kind of very, very surreal in a lot of ways, but they have this kind of like almost like somber, dreamlike quality in
Yes.
everything they
Yeah.
do, whether it's Eco Shadow or Last
Absolutely.
Guardian. Whereas this feels more pushed into like the horror tension kind of element of
It was
it.
Oh,
pretty creepy.
that countdown
Yeah, the
was
countdown was
super
really like the
creepy.
modulated voice was like something bad is about to happen. And then when you get to that certain climbing point and you see like the wall of whatever that thing is coming towards you, it's kind of like, oh God, this is awful.
so good.
It's a
Unbelievable.
really interesting tone shift that I'm excited to
Love
see
it.
more of.
Yeah.
Love
Very
it. The Outer Worlds 2 gameplay trailer was quite cheeky, definitely calling out some of that criticism nice and early, but it looks like a good time. And they say it'll be twice as big as the last game, which, a lot of people complain that game was a bit too small for their taste, a bit too simple. I personally enjoyed it. I liked it. And so, I'm always down for more Obsidian. I think it looks cool.
Yeah.
Split Fiction,
Dude.
though.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Yeah, this is cool.
This is a new one from Joseph Faris and his team Hazelight. It's the follow-up to Game of the Year winner It Takes Two.
Yep.
What do you guys think?
I fucking loved it. Too. I loved it so much. I didn't expect to love it that much.
I love all their games. All of their games are like my precious babies. Even A Way Out. I love A Way Out so much.
Yeah, it was cool, man. It was a
but-
good game.
Brothers.
I need to play It Takes Two. I've never played it. I need to try it.
What? You never played It Takes Two?
Bro, I had no
Oh
one
my
to play
god.
with. I had no one to play with.
Oh, please. Come on, man.
It's also way longer than you think it would be.
Yeah,
Takes Two?
It
actually
takes
it
two.
is.
Oh,
It's-
really?
And it's every stage, every room of the house is so unique and
Interesting.
so. It's so.
I think
amazing.
this is really ambitious. Because obviously they're still doing the gameplay concept switch up pretty frequently, but now
Yes.
it's like with the sci-fi
Yeah.
and the fantasy back and forth, and like the trailer kind of built for me because at first I was like, oh, these characters, and they're doing kind of like more realistic looking human characters, which they've always it's been like a little weird, but yeah, as the trailer went on, and you just saw it get bigger and bigger with all these insane scenarios, I was like, man, this is another one. This is another
Dragons.
one. Yeah.
I'm really fascinated to see I would love to see how they make games, because
Yeah.
the amount of ideas that they clearly have stuffed into this game, and it was same for It Takes Two, but this feels like more. How is that feasible from like a pipeline perspective and like budgeting and that kind of the boring stuff? Because it's like most people build entire games around one of those mechanics or
Absolutely.
formats, and they're just like stuffing them. So I would love to know what little magic they've got going on that allows them to be so diverse with their
But
ideas.
I think it's actually quite an interesting through line with like Astrobot does the same sort of thing. Mario Wonder has done the same sort of thing, and obviously Mario games before that have done that. Like I think it's it would be incredibly difficult to do, incredibly challenging. But studios are doing it, and winning Game of the Year for doing so.
Yeah.
So there's obviously a lesson in that. On the flip side of that, Borderlands 4. Does anyone have any feelings about Borderlands 4?
It looks like more Borderlands. Like I think it looks
looks
what
like
fans
more
are into.
Borderlands.
Like
Perhaps this is unfair, but the response to Borderlands 4 in the room, deafeningly silent. Just like, it was
brutal.
like every part of that presentation, it was just like,
I mean, I was actually really blown away by just how generic it looked, and I mean, like, I actually like Borderlands. I've enjoyed all of them, even 3. You know, which I think was obviously a strong game from a gameplay perspective, but the writing was whoa. But like, yeah, I looked at this trailer and I'm like, come on, guys, what do you got here? Like, what's changing? What's new? What's different? Like, give me something. Like, if you told me that was a Borderlands 3 DLC drop, I'd be like, yeah, all right, yeah, sure, absolutely. That's
the thing
cool
that
DLC.
threw me off was the pre-rendered stuff at the start was very different.
Yes.
Very sci-fi, very like the freak guys are and then when it cut to gameplay and the worlds, I was like, oh, it's just Borderlands.
same.
Yeah, I feel like the perception around Borderlands is different from what the actual reality is. Like, because we see it as like a game that comes out as a sequel every few years, in between, and we judge it for, this experience. But for most people that aren't us, they treat it like it's a Assassin's Creed, a games as a service style title, where like the first Borderlands you play is, everyone's first Borderlands is the one that they've just seen released or whatever it may be. Because people get like obsessed with these games on a lifestyle level.
Absolutely.
It's just they're not packaged like that at all, and they have a definitive start and end point. But people play those games for months and months, and then they got those keys and stuff like that. So I feel like this is a case where, similar to like if a update for Destiny came out and looked a lot like Destiny, we're like, fine. But in Borderlands case, we're like, why does this look so similar?
I also think the new characters are cool. I don't know if they're still called like Vault, like Hunters, but the new characters do look cool.
Yeah.
I think I
sorry, Liz.
it. No, I think I just no. Like, obviously, I don't mean to be dismissive to people working on it. It's just I'm just so far beyond Borderlands at this point. I'm just like,
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Tam, you are the resident fighting person on the squad. Tell us a new Virtua Fighter game. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good about it. I wasn't always a big Virtua Fighter person. It was one of the games I definitely played a lot of. I think it's a very, very exciting. RGG has been kind of building up to this, and they had like Virtua Fighter within their games before. Again, a good indication of that studio diversifying what it can do. They have got like history in combat, but it's a very different kind of combat, right? It's like a little more rigid, a little more environmental focused. And I don't think they're dropping that kind of expertise all the way, because if you look at the way that whole game is introduced and the way it ends on them showing a bit of gameplay, it looks denser than any other fighting game stage I've seen before. So it feels like that lineage of both from the Virtua Fighter and the RGG side is going to be there in like full effect. It's very, very exciting to have Virtua Fighter back, because again, like Capcom, it's a sign of confidence and strength. Like that's one of their franchises where they're feeling themselves. A Virtua Fighter is presented. So it's a good sign. I think RGG is an excellent developer, and they have the opportunity to put their own mark on that whole franchise, and also very, very good for the fighting game community. It's been trucking along and having a good time with it, but every new game in the genre and every returning franchise is a boon for it, I think. So exciting times.
Yeah, it's cool. It's good news.
Yeah.
This I thought this next one was actually like Sleeping Dogs,
Oh,
like
man.
a Sleeping Dogs
Wish.
spin-off.
Wish.
Until the logo reveal. It's called Project Century, and it's the other RGG game.
Yeah.
Set in 1915 Japan. What do you guys think?
What an incredible, like, it felt so confident, and it felt so
Yes.
like, because right away it showed off the world. And the world, I was just like, it got me with the world. I was like, this looks amazing. This looks amazing. And then it's like, also, you're a cool guy and you get to punch men. And I was like, this is incredible. But like, just like some of the scenarios they showed with him squaring off against the guy in the rain, and he's coming at him with knives, like, and then seeing that it was RGG, and it's like, oh, they're doing a brawler, like a beat 'em up again. Cause like, those are the Yakuzas I loved. I'm all in. I'm very all in for this one.
When the character reveal face came, Liz went, oh, he's hot.
I did.
Good.
No, because the whole time I thought they were doing Like a Dragon Ishin, where going back in time, but still
that's
Ciri
what I
and everything. And then the whole time I was sat next to him, I was like, turn around. Let me see that. Let me see that face. Let me see Ciri. And then he turns around and he has the bright blue eyes, and I was like, oh,
Hell yeah.
Come on,
who's
blue
this
eyes.
guy?
The Game of Thrones game, King's Road. What do you guys think of this one? This is a mobile game, by the way. Did you know
I
that?
did
Did
not
you
know that.
Yeah,
I
I
thought the graphics looked kind of weird.
think we
Yeah.
were sat behind them.
Oh,
You were
I
sitting
think-
behind them, were you?
Yeah, because they were.
I was talking mad trash.
Were you?
They were filming the screen.
Oh no, they did that for a bunch of games.
Yeah,
though.
they did.
Yeah.
No, I've said this before. As someone who had to cover Game of Thrones professionally for years and spend so much time in subreddits, in scripting, just one show, specifically the show. Oh, I can't. I just can't go back there, man. You can't make me. You can't.
Where's Sean Bean? Why isn't he in it? They got the John
Bean?
guy, the Jon Snow guy.
It's not him though. Not his voice.
I don't think it's.
I think it's they got some really. They sound a lot like them. I thought that they were, but it turns out they're not. They're just really good sound alikes.
They had his.
No, they have the likeness.
They
and I
have
think,
the accent. They just don't. I feel like if you are familiar with the accent, and that means if you're British, you can tell that it's not him very clearly. But for most other people, they just go, "Yep, that sounds
British guy. That's
British
it.
guy. That
Yeah.
sounds like
But
him."
also, it's like judging from like Cersei's hair and Jon being at the wall. This must be taking part in like certain early seasons.
periods,
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
wonder how much. This is the issue
Look,
I had with
ultimately-
the
go on.
Game of Thrones Telltale game, where it was, hey, you get to make all these decisions and meet all these characters, but you know that it doesn't impact the wider canon.
Yeah, I also feel like obviously I'm acknowledging House of the Dragon is out there and very popular, but there's very few franchises that I can think of that when they ended, the like juice that propelled them there just completely vanished. The way that series ended, I feel like
really
when they was
did
done,
Dude.
like all future opportunities with Game of Thrones just vanished because everyone was like, that wasn't great. Goodbye forever. So
I mean,
when it,
well, but
Yes.
it's also this week that
Yeah.
George R.R. Martin is like, oh, I don't think I'm doing it,
I don't know
guys.
about that.
I
Yeah.
think I'm done.
Yeah.
Right.
So like when that came up again, like we worked on that Game of Thrones show together,
Yeah.
and like when it came up, I was just like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to be
Yeah.
any of that. And like it's weird because the character looks like he's from Assassin's Creed. Like he looks like he's
Yes,
a Valhalla
he
character,
does.
but he's in a world that does look like
In a
Game of Thrones,
world.
and it's like he looks like he's from a different game, and he's been like Gary's modded into it. It's so weird.
And Shrek comes
brutal.
in.
Shrek comes in, and like the dragon from Skyrim.
There was a lot of fuss made about Mafia, the old country. Personally, I felt this trailer had a distinct lack of fat people. As an Italian,
Yeah.
I really feel like about 30 to 40% of the Italian mafioso community should be old fat dudes, and there was no fat people in this trailer. So I'm really not feeling the authenticity to
There
them.
was, however, a very handsome lead
Oh, yeah.
person. I
They
was
were
like,
all they
uh-oh.
were all handsome. And
They
I'm like,
are.
I've been to my family dinners. They don't all look this good.
They
So
do
what's
not,
going on?
no.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
My favorite part of that was when it showed up and they talked about where it's from, and just quietly went, "My grandma's from there."
I wish we saw gameplay at this
Yeah, I
point.
know.
Yeah.
But I think it doesn't. So it doesn't feel like it's just Godfather Part 2, like the Vito sequences. It did have like a really good through line of like weird spooky tension.
Yeah.
Where it was very like power dynamic, and like it was like the mob boss was like actually kind of like scary.
Yeah,
that
I
think
was
that's
getting
cool.
stressed that he was burning the thing. with his
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah. So I think storytelling wise, like I'm really excited to see what they actually do.
It also kind of reminded me of that kind of the transition between two times that Red Dead was doing, where it's like horses next to cars and that kind of
Oh yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I
Absolutely.
feel like Red Dead 2 was a big kind of like factor, or maybe it's that thing where two games being made, accidentally have the same
True.
idea. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is giving me Red Dead vibes ish.
If they could pull off horse and car chase where both are at play
Yeah.
in a gameplay scenario, that would be really, really cool to see.
Yeah. The other one, there's two more to chat about. Firstly, Dispatch. Remember
Yeah.
this one? This
Which
this
one was
one
that?
about
The
dispatching
superhero game.
the
Telltale.
superheroes
the Aaron
to.
Paul.
This was the Aaron Paul bit, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
we obviously talked about how weird this setup with Laura Bailey was, but
shout
the
out
game
to
itself,
Alana. By
Alana's
the way,
in there,
Alana's
yeah.
in it.
Wow. Oh, damn.
I didn't even know that. What the hell?
Yeah,
She's
she was
one
on
of
the
the
end
credits.
credit thing.
Damn.
Did not know that.
That's
Okay,
cool.
right. Anyway, that looks great. Like that looks like a really cool concept, by the way. Like I just love the idea of just being on the phone, having to dispatch superheroes out the door. Like that's sick. And the cast is great. And it's not from Telltale. It's actually from Ad Hoc. but it was the ad hoc is obviously made up of Telltale people, former Telltale staff.
Okay.
And they were a bit cheeky about that in the way they presented that in the trailer. They made
Yeah,
it really
they
look like
tricked
it was
me.
a Telltale game.
I said
but
it
it's
in a
not.
video. I'm screwed. Oh no.
Yeah. But yeah, like it looks pretty sick. I
like
very
the
impressed with that
animation
one.
style, the color. Like it kind of like gave me like Invincible vibes.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that feeling.
Yes.
I'm curious to see
Exactly.
how a game it is though, because it looked so much not like a game. Like I couldn't see the seams.
Yeah,
You know.
that's the. Yeah, I feel like it's
True.
it's guessing, but it's more of the Papers, Please ilk of kind of game where it's like you're doing like bureaucracy stuff.
It also
Yeah.
looked like there
as
was a
opposed-
hacking mini game. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I feel like the
get me in.
yeah, the narrative part coming from Telltale, obviously the narrative interactions are going to be the main part of it, but I would guess that the gameplay parts of it are more like sorting and choosing this person goes here and that kind of thing.
Yeah. The final and biggest reveal, because we've already talked about Akami, obviously, is Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. Now, when this first started rolling, I'm like, oh, this is probably the new Sony Santa Monica game, because we know they're working on a sci-fi game, or it's rumored they're working on some
Rumored,
sort
yeah.
of sci-fi thing. And then all of a sudden, I saw the Sony logo and I'm like, okay, man, it's definitely Sony Santa Monica. And then, it's Naughty Dog. It's Naughty Dog's next thing. It's being directed by Neil Druckmann. It has music by someone or other. I can't really remember their name. That's probably
Pet
not that
Shop Boys.
important.
Pet Shop Boys, yeah.
You know what? It's fine. It's fine.
Oh,
The music is
actual
by
score, yeah.
Trent
Yeah.
Reznor and Atticus Ross,
Yes.
which everyone is absolutely losing their shit over. Tati Gabrielle is playing the lead, and Kumail's actually being how do you say his last name?
Nanjiani.
Yeah, Kamal Nanjiani is playing the villain. He wasn't actually in the trailer though, except for a photo of him.
Wait, he's the villain.
Is he the villain or is
well,
he just
okay,
like,
no, let's rephrase. He's the bounty. Okay, so
Yeah,
maybe
he's
he's
the
the
bounty.
good guy,
So-
right? Maybe he's the good guy.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so we don't know. All we know is that he is being hunted at this point.
the bad guy from Better Call Saul. Also, you could see him in one of
Yes.
the
Yeah.
photos, which that's
Yes.
very cool. One of the Salamancas.
Salamancas, yeah.
cool.
So, yeah, what did you guys think about this reveal? How are you feeling about that one?
I'm really intrigued by it. I will say
Okay.
in the theater, it was actually kind of difficult to hear some
Yeah.
of the dialogue. So I
Okay.
want to go back and rewatch it.
Yeah.
But I'm such a, this explains why I saw Neil Druckmann at a Nine Inch Nails gig in Vegas a few years ago.
He could just be a Nine Inch Nails fan, Lucy. Come on
No,
now.
but I think obviously you get to be, if you're Neil Druckmann and you go up
Sure.
to Trent Reznor and be like, hey, yo, do you want to score my game? Like that's,
He's like,
what a
"Yes,
combination."
sure."
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued by it. Obviously, it's a big departure from what we've known from Naughty Dog for the last few years. Like, when was the last time they did a new IP? Which would have been Last of Us, 2013.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's unfortunate when I was watching it is that it's very similar to the opening of Concord
Oh
in that
man, you said it.
100%.
Yeah, you said what I was thinking.
100%.
Yeah.
Totally
is
agree.
the going up to the console, getting the bounty, doing that thing. And I was like,
Yes.
that's a really unfortunate parallel that's in my brain that I'm trying to separate from.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing I'm intrigued by is it's a lot of product placement. Like that has to
That
be
was
intentional.
Porsche?
Yeah, Porsche.
Almost
Yes.
to the point where I was like, oh,
There's
that's
something
like
going
weird.
on
Yeah,
here.
something
There's
interesting about
something
it.
like some
Yeah.
sort of like real world implication.
Yeah, I don't imagine that Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog as a studio are going to be like, oh, yeah, okay, Sony, you're forcing us to do product placement, so we'll go along with
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's how that
Yeah.
works. Like,
They
I think
have-
that there's clearly some sort of,
Weird
there's a
creative
reason why that
choice.
exists.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they have the clout to like veto that if it came up, I think. But like, so there's clearly some sort of like reframing of what we know, the familiar for us in a new way, which I think could be very interesting. The idea of a future where, the capitalism part of our current is somehow still there and evolves and sustains.
Yeah.
Could be interesting. Yeah.
From
Yeah.
creating like a world and a story and stuff too. It's like it is true. We play so many things where brands don't exist, and yet in our life, like I see logo. Like I see brands
True,
everywhere
true,
just
true.
in this room. So I'm not like defending. Like I don't know. It could be a really cool creative choice, but
Yeah.
the game overall for me, or what we saw, I just need to see more. I don't know. It's
I
like
agree.
it was so short.
like-
it felt familiar. Like it felt like cool sci-fi person.
Yeah.
Like okay.
I want to know what I'm going to be
Yeah, but all,
doing.
they showed like sword combat.
was like that
and
robot
like weird,
thing
like
again,
it looked like
yeah.
a action
that
melee
last
game
shot
at
was
the time.
cool.
Yeah.
That last
was
shot was like,
But
wait, give me that.
Kind of like horror. Too,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly. It seems like they're not just doing another third-person shooter, or maybe they're doing third-person melee-focused stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's like that kind of Nathan Drake style, like chaotic, like just scraping by combat, but with more like close quarters. Because they did that
I mean,
with
with Last of Us Part 2, for
Yeah, it was very
sure.
close quarters, but it was a little more like cinematic and directed. If they like let go of the reins a bit, what could they do with gameplay styles?
Yeah, I
Interesting.
want to see that because like I like what they do with gameplay. Like so, I just like okay, cool, give me that. Give me that.
I just want to. I mean, again, not to be shady, but the last few things from Naughty Dog have just been remasters of pretty recent games, and so I'm very excited for something
New. Yeah,
like
absolutely.
even there was a Last of Us Part 2 remastered trailer in this show too, so it's like
Oh my god, when that rolled, I'm like,
I think they nailed.
We're gonna see remastered Last of Us products marketed to us. You know,
I think as a trailer, despite like the comparisons to Concord, they nailed what a trailer should do in that use their prestige and then created just enough intrigue and a lot of interest and questions to just be like, all right, we'll see you later. And everyone's going to continue talking about this thing for a really long time.
And to be clear, and my comparison to Concord is actually just because it's a very similar setup. It's not the same
no, of course.
Sci-fi
writing or anything. Sci-fi
music,
like literally just
character,
going into the
like high contrast, gleaming, technology, that
cool
kind
clothes.
of thing.
There's got some shot-for-shot Akira stuff in there. Have you guys seen the comparisons?
Yeah.
This like it's really leaning
that's the
into
other
some
thing where I'm
interesting-
like, they are clearly intentionally referencing the real world culture that we live in. There's something happening there that's really interesting.
No, I agree. And that was pretty much all of the big announcements for the
stuff,
show.
yeah.
So I think that personally, there was a lot of hype behind the show. I think this show delivered. I think it delivered. I think you could have spent a bit more time on awards, but I will say that when they did get up there to receive their awards, they were allowed to say their piece without being shooed off the stage. I loved that for them. I loved Sven Vinkey's speech
incredible.
at the end.
Very
It was
funny.
just like, can everyone just please listen to that? You
Yes,
know?
that was
Obviously
awesome.
the game changer moment and highlighting someone who's actually doing something to combat, or to not combat, but to help people affected by layoffs. I think that was great. There weren't too many ads, in terms of like, there were maybe one too many AMD ads thrown in there, but
one too
whatever.
many
I think-
Fortnite.
What about Fortnite? Have you heard of this?
Yeah, this
Fortnite?
game Fortnite?
Yeah, it's
I will
Fortnite.
say
Listen,
there was-
if you get 14 million concurrent players on your latest event, then you got a bit of money to splash on a few
there was-
overpriced Game Awards ads.
There was one musical performance which was really good, but was actually an ad, which I thought was really interesting. Like,
Which one?
I can't remember.
The
Arcane
Civ?
one?
was it? I think it was Civ. Yeah, they like just did the music
yeah.
from Civ, and then the entire time it just had the
trailer.
release date there,
Yeah.
and it was like order now, and I was like, that is a cheeky but very creatively clever way of doing an ad
Absolutely.
that doesn't make you want to just detach from whatever is happening.
Totally.
Luke Guy rocked as per.
Flute guy is
Dude,
done. Drum guy is
Oh.
in.
Yeah,
Drum guy is
Friendship
in.
ended.
Friendship ended with Flute guy. Drum guy is my new best friend.
I'm always just locked in on Pedro, the flute guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm like just watching him all the time.
Well, during the Civ thing, the choir was blocking him, and so I was like,
Yeah.
where
I-
was my boy?
I maybe I'm the cynical moment, but I had a moment where when they were doing that, like we're done bowing, he was exhibiting some real main character syndrome in the
Absolutely.
corner,
Absolutely.
where he was
He's
like,
in it, though.
he was like beating his chest and like motioning to the other people. No one's looking at him.
Yeah,
but
he's
he's
his
like,
own-
I'm the star, and I was
he's on
like,
his own
I
planet.
know.
man, you
I
better be
love him.
careful, man.
I agree. Don't fly too close to the sun.
Yeah.
my friend.
I will
So-
say I really, really just as an experience going, and also there was a lot of non-industry attendees this year, which was cool to see. So people got to experience this, and I really, really liked hearing the Astrobot theme done by an
Yes.
orchestra. I was like, I was getting
The-
the willies.
The
Like, big
Balatro theme done by the orchestra, that got me.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that song goes so hard. You didn't even realize how hard it goes until it
Yeah.
just pops in. You're just like, damn, that's a fucking all-timer.
Ben Starr told us it's pronounced Balatro, by the way.
Yeah, that's been the.
I
Is
don't.
he just doing a
I'm
Ben
not.
thing?
That is not my headcanon. Okay, I refuse to agree with that.
This is
Sorry,
GIF
but no.
GIF all over again.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
that's
I don't
right.
care if you creator said it.
Yeah.
But we should probably move on because we only
Yes.
have a certain amount of time left. But
Yeah.
overall, good job.
Great show.
Good job, Jeff. Definitely
thumbs up.
recognize a good show when it's there, and I think this was a good show. So congrats.
Frames per second approved.
It's our official rating.
That's it.
Right, well.
Please keep it up.
Yeah.
Get it? Please wrap it up. Please keep it up. There you go. See?
Good job.
That
Good
could
try.
mean anything.
All right.
I'm glad I explained that one at the
Thank
end.
you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. All right, well, we covered the show. And like we mentioned up top, we have an interview with Sebastian, who's the game director, and Gosha, who's executive producer on The Witcher 4, which we shot earlier today. It was a very fun chat, talking all about the announcements, what they're trying to do with the game. And it's a a good one.
Couple of interesting nuggets in there. Yeah.
Definitely,
It's
yeah,
very
for sure.
fun to talk with them. So we're going to roll that now, but after a quick word from our sponsor. It's the morning after the Game Awards.
Good morning.
And
Hello.
all through the house,
Hello.
CD Projekt Red drops a trailer for The Witcher 4.
Thank you personally
Yes.
for that.
Yeah. we are super hyped. Yeah. So
Yeah, how's the team feeling? I mean, you guys have probably been cooking on this for a while now.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my
To
god!
show the world?
This is so much more because this is a trailer. This is what you've seen, but actually we also enter production. So for us, it's a kind of closer and opening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the team effort and everybody, we were a lot of us were here on the event. We managed to almost 20 people get here,
Yeah.
but our team was back then online, but also in the offices. So
Okay.
they, with the blankets because it was in
Yeah.
the middle of the night in Warsaw. So everybody were enjoying sharing all the links and everything. We were sending the reaction of the people, so that was like. We were waiting so long for that.
Yeah, and our crew in Warsaw also like kind of woke up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it was so sweet.
And they've been like covered with blankets, watching the TGA and the grand reveal. So the trailer for us is like a testament of this hard work because we've put so much passion into it this year, especially. So yeah, everyone is super happy, super excited, super like positively really overwhelmed. Because reactions are great, and yeah, we're
so happy.
super grateful
Yeah,
for
and
this.
also
yeah.
I think that this is
Yeah.
maybe a small thing, but we are able to say The Witcher 4 finally.
Finally.
We were talking for the Polaris project all the time,
Yeah.
and now
Yeah.
we can finally say it aloud.
Yeah.
So when we did it for the first time, it was like, oh,
I'm sure
I
that
I saw that clip of you guys like putting on your jackets
Yeah.
during the middle of the TGAs. You're like, finally we can wear our
finally,
jackets.
yeah,
It's
we've
great.
been waiting for that moment so long, man, and yeah.
And also we were
it's
so
great.
stressed. You can see on the video that we are, shaking when doing with the jacket because it was so like, oh my god,
Yeah, it's
it
huge.
feels. Yeah, and the reaction of the audience was in the moments we won him. So it was like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
god, it's going good. It's going good.
Were you guys in the audience? Were you able to? Oh, so you were able to feel the.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're in the
yeah.
middle.
I think
Yeah.
I think you were just a bit to the right of us because
Yeah.
I remember it was funny when the trailer came up. People were like, "Oh, what is it?" I think Jeff was like, "Please, it's the unexpected."
Yeah, yeah.
And then the bath came.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
That's when I
was
went.
instant.
That's Witcher.
Instantly.
It's the same producer, but that's the for the peasants only. Yeah, girl
thought-
had the different one.
I thought about PC Gamer is that they always use the
Yep.
bath image. I was like, they have a new one. It's perfect
it's
for all the
a new one.
headlines.
Oh, good man! I've seen the comment and I laughed so much. It is like, yeah, if you see the buff, that means that CD Projekt Red drops a new Witcher content. So
We need to
I
remember
laughed,
for the next one.
I laughed big time. Yeah, yeah.
That was amazing.
The one thing actually was quite noticed just at the very start of that trailer, I noticed that you guys had a little thing saying like, cinematics rendered on an unannounced NVIDIA GPU. I don't suppose you could tell us anything about that unannounced GPU at this point. Just putting it out there.
Actually, yes. We cannot talk more about it, but we wanted to tease it. But there will be time, right?
Right.
For that
Yeah.
reveal.
There will
So
be
we don't-
time, but what we can definitely tell is that this choice, generally, just to make the trailer for the very first time already in engine, the cinematic pre-rendered
Yeah.
trailer already in engine, helped us a lot in development. But also, it was a very challenging choice, right? Because first time always costs a lot. But this way, we were able to really establish the look we want to aspire for. That's the look that we want to achieve generally in the game. So I believe that it was hard, but definitely it paid off. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that what's worth to mention is that, of course, it's not in game, but the assets are from the game, right? So it's
Yeah.
for us a huge step, right?
Like absolutely, like, everything in this trailer is like a piece of content. It's a game kind. So
And still, obviously,
it's-
some changes
yeah.
and improvements because we are early in the development yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the direction, for sure, this is what we aim
yeah,
for.
yeah. The mood, the grim, and these characters like Mioni, Jivan, like generally you'll be able to get to know them.
Yeah,
in
they
the
are
game.
from the game. They will
Okay,
be
they're not
yeah,
just-
yeah. It's
No,
not
no.
one-on-one. It's
No,
not
no.
a one-on-one quest because it will be different. It's for the purpose of the trailer, so it makes a sense, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
get a consistent whole story for the footage, but it will be in the game.
Was the
And actually,
approach to that generally kind of as like a main quest or a side quest?
It's a side quest.
content.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a side content, kind of represents, what the epic monster hunt can potentially look like, and this way we're able to kind of even evolve the way we want to kind of present hunting for big monsters like this one, Bauk. That's the monster from Serbian folk, which is a super dangerous, kind of place with your fears, which is also really good segue for us to show the different perspective of what potentially the monster is. In this case, she had to defeat her inner monster, right? Her fear, to be able to, defeat him, and that's the kind of secret weapon of that monster. And yeah, so it's a good promise for new monsters, new challenges.
Because there will be more, of course.
Yeah, and I think Ciri managed. So that's what she's doing for a living, right?
Yeah, but I think it's also cool that the premise is for the monsters itself, but actually what Sebastian is saying, and you hear at the end, which I really love because people were repeating like no gods, only monster.
Good luck.
Only humans also are, right? So what the monster really means. So your inner ones, the creatures ones, the other people. So I guess we wanted to show it that the world is very complex and it's not that black and white every time. Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Well, I was going to say, you mentioned the kind of evolution. What can we expect from The Witcher 4 that maybe you couldn't do with the original games, especially with Witcher 3? Like that really changed RPGs. And so how do you take that baseline and go into something like Witcher 4?
That's a great question. To be honest, like the way we make RPGs, there's always this core DNA that comes from Red itself. So in this case, there's a huge advantage for us to tell a super immersive story because, again, we had this choice to go with predefined character. What's great with Ciri is that, first of all, the players with sentiment know her, but also for new players, this is a great starting point to, be able to say hi for the lore, to be able to really experience the world in a little bit different way, because the common denominator is both of them are Witchers. Ciri is actually becoming one. And this huge difference when it comes to this evolution is that Ciri, yes, she's predefined, but she's way younger. So she doesn't have her own codex yet. She's still learning. Obviously, there are so many lessons that she gathered in Kaer Morhen from her foster father Geralt. She's also a very powerful character, but she's also, very experienced. She's young, but the life was tough for her. She was like running away most of her life, and this is the moment of choice. So she's choosing to become the Witcher. So that's that's the turning point in her life to form her own codex, to really understand what the Witcher path means for her, and that gives us a lot of opportunities when it comes to in the future gameplay, but also when it comes to her personality. She is super engaged whatever she's doing because she is the very first Witcher by choice. She wasn't she wasn't kind of kidnapped as a kid or whatever. She is the Witcher by choice. So she knows that she's doing it because she decided to do so, and this is very powerful because that makes you being very, very determined, very dedicated. And that gives us also super cool room for role playing and to show off her personality features. Right?
Also, she cares. She's at the same time very resilient. So it gives a more emotion in a way that you don't know really how to expect how she will react. Yeah, and then the consequences you get in the world are also a bit more unexpected again, and very interesting shifts. We can go there. So this is really cool. And of course, her being a source. It's also powerful, for her. For the skill set she will have.
Yeah.
Was it a real slam dunk decision to go with Ciri? Because it seems like it, looking from the outside, we're like, well, obviously, you have Ciri in there, but did you agonize over it internally? Did you consider some alternatives for a time? Like, what was the decision how did that work to actually decide, yep, Ciri's out, here's who we're going to go with?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talk about it back even still working on the Witcher Wild Hunt. She's already playable character, right? So she's kind of always we were saying that she was always meant to be, because she's a really nice continuation after how we are ending, let's say, the story with the Geralt. So it gives us opportunity to make origin story to show the world a few years later and to address it and give you more unexpected things at the same time with the sentiment of what was there. But the call was always there because of the reason the character she's a very complex character, right?
Yeah.
And predefined at one point, but on the other a blank space we can and the players afterwards can also play with. Yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely, as Gosha mentioned, I remember like 9 years ago. I remember the discussion we had also with Adam Badowski, and like when you analyze it, even since then Hearts of Stone, Blood and Wine, and even the 10th anniversary of The Witcher, when we precisely made the call to make it in the mansion that he got from Henrietta, to make you feel that he's living there. He put his sword in the mantle, and he is for sure eating some suppers with Henrietta, but at the same time slaying monsters from time to time because she's there. He's there, and it was a very, very kind of conscious call to invite all his friends to this particular mansion, saying hi to the player, kind of just to cut this distance. And in our hearts, in our like the way we make the lore, the story, everything is with full respect to the canon. And there's every single decision, like for example, for what you'll experience on your path to become the Witcher by Ciri, that you will literally experience it. So it's not just very, very well thought. So yeah, 9 years ago, at least 9 years ago, we made this call, and that's why it also made the anniversary in a way we've made it in our hearts again. He's there, he's living there, but he's going to be a part of the story.
I just want to say that maybe we can say that he's still in the world, right?
Okay. Yeah. So definitely like just huge, very strong intention behind this since I remember. So yeah, that this is a time for her. Time for her saga, so much room to tell so many stories, to showcase new regions in this world with her. We believe that she deserves the spotlight, Right?
Yeah, you're definitely carving out a new path with her, like lore-wise and stuff. I see people online already have questions about like how powers work and stuff like that. Yeah. Did you guys have to do a lot of finagling and like reworking for that, or did you choose an ending from Witcher 3 and go from there? Like how does that process work? How do you make those decisions?
You want to start?
You can go.
Okay, so I cannot tell you precisely how are we going to make it yet, for sure, but definitely we're starting Witcher 4 a few years after Wild Hunt. We'll refer to Wild Hunt ending, and so definitely players with the sentiment will spot details here and there, even nuanced, like really nuanced dialogue pieces sometimes here and there, referring to the past. Nuance because we don't also want to, spoil and to destroy the experience for newcomers, right? But I believe that there's going to be plenty of depth that you'll be able to spot it. And this is a few years after.
And also I think that what is a huge challenge for us is on the one hand, we want, of course, to go with the player with the sentiment, right? Feel them going home. At the same time, showcase new stuff, new experience, and amazing game to push the boundaries of the quality and the storytelling, and then go to the new audience. And I already read comments that people are afraid of, if you go to everybody, it will be, a mix. Do we still got it? So you need to trust us. Yeah, we are storytellers, and this is our priority always. Yeah. And we go depth with that. We are going with the universal experience of the storytelling. And she is just a character that will give us more opportunity to do this. And yes, we want to go to both old, like maybe not old players, but our players that knows us already, and for the new audience, because you can start the game without having any knowledge actually about the previous, about not the world. You can just start it as a new entering, and it will be an introduction to the Witcher world. So it's totally fine. You can of course go back to the Witcher after, but I think that we do have an idea for that, and you just need to wait, right, to experience that.
Yeah. I can even also add that, just to calm some people down, is that we trust the process. we are storytellers. The most important thing, and I believe you can experience this also in the trailer, is that the very core motivation behind making this trailer was actually to make it in a way that you will care, that you will at some point care about Mioni, about Ciri's, about this final feeling of, oh my God, I did my best, but I couldn't control everything. Dumb people, followed by superstitions, bloody hell, and then I couldn't save her, like this is the way we trust the process. We make emotions. We pay so much respect to characters we create. We make them believable, alive, characters that they will stay with you forever. So those are like real people. This is the way we make stories. So I can calm everyone down here. That there's going to be an amazing story ahead, and with great emotional stakes that are no coincidental or whatever, right? Like very well thought.
I know I probably can't pull too much out of you gameplay wise.
Yeah.
But seeing the trailer and how Ciri is clearly like a student, a foster of Geralt.
Yeah.
The tools, the move sets, like the pirouettes are the same, the swordsmanship. How can you give us a hint of like how she is going to be different?
Sure. You want to start?
I mean, yeah, well, I can start. So, yeah, we cannot say much more.
Thank you. That's a good one.
We're not talking about that right now.
No. But of course, we made the trailer in a way so we can tease, so the talks can start, right?
I'm intrigued by those chains.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued by those chains.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Team chain.
Team chain.
we have some talks. Yeah, when we were in the development before. But yeah, so you can see she's using magic on the top, right? She's using the potions. So I guess this is an important part for that. She's more agile, right? She's younger. She's also later. So that's for sure. I think that her energy is different, and you can also tell it a little bit. I like the moment that she switched and she come closer with Bauk, the monster, and she the distance is closer, and she's more like that.
Yeah.
And the way she cuts the head off, it's a. You can feel her, and I think that even that moment is already a bit different and showing that she's a different person, though learned by Geralt, and not only Geralt, right? So,
That's a good one that Gosia mentioned regarding the Hound, let's say, experience. We want to deliver the experience for Hound in the way we call it, even peeling the onion, which is like every next step you build in your advantage, right? Like a new hunter, like a great hunter. So first, like you can experience she was trying to fight with the fears that the Bauk and walk them up in Ciri's head. Then she drinks the potion. Then she cuts the distance. She's closer. She's barely surviving, but using spell. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. And then chopping the limbs, using the chain, shortening the distance to finally deliver the deadly chop. This is the like a rhythm, it's like a music, like like when you look at that also from the perspective of gameplay, Gosia mentioned chain. Yeah, it's also a segue to our very first trailer we released 20 years ago when Geralt is using the chain behind with Striga. It was purely then inspired by the short story by Sapkowski, because Geralt was using the chain in the crypt, fighting with Striga. In this case, chain is going to be a gameplay utility tool. So this is what we can tell you. Additionally, she's also not using a sign, right? Which is signs are like let's call it simplified magic, right?
Let's call it magic.
Yeah. Here, as she's like a mutated source, because she's a strong source as a character, Elder Blood, then she's kind of catalyzing the energy, the magic. She's making a magic out of the source, right? She's catalyzing it and creating a powerful spell to be able to build this opportunity window for her. So you can already tell, based on that concept you see in the trailer, that what we are going to do in gameplay regarding the let's say the evolution of it.
Yeah, especially that we also want to really push all the elements. So of course, heavy story is something we're good at, right? But we want to have all the elements, and it's not only with The Witcher. We're already with the Cyberpunk or the expansion. We're pushing more and more for the gameplay, to be consistent with the whole world. for all the players to have experienced the love. Yeah, I think, and it's not only for the combat; it's always for the exploration and stuff. Prepare something.
Yeah, well, that's actually what I was going to ask, because when I think about the Witcher, series, in particular Witcher 3, obviously there's a big sprawling narrative. There's this combat, which we've spoken about, some of the ways that that's going to evolve. And then obviously there's this RPG component where, you're able to respond to people in different ways. You're able to shape a character through your decisions. You're able to determine how outcomes unfold and ultimately the ending of the game. How are you imagining that might evolve with The Witcher 4? Are you looking for a deeper, more reactive world, or were you actually quite satisfied with the amount of choice that the player had in The Witcher 3?
Thanks for this question. Definitely, what we do is always like we put player agency in the center when it comes to choices and consequences. We want to evolve that too. Obviously, we don't want to make the sim, right? But we want to make you feel that you have impact on the world around you, but in a very, let's say, normalized way. So you are not playing Messiah, whatever. Like you are like doing whatever there's like this internal stake, this external stake, right? You get to know people, you are helping them as the professional monster slayer, but also you're going to be involved in something bigger. So you'll bring the change to the world. And for sure the impact, like even based on the trailer, at some point you'll be able to experience this quest and you'll be able to save me. All right. So that will have its own consequences, as always, because we love rebranching. We love giving you this chance to really role play in a most immersive way possible, followed by the way you invested yourself in Ciri and the way she is. So absolutely, there are some cool plans regarding some system here and there. Cannot tell you more right now, but for sure, when it comes to the complexity of it, the detail, the way you'll care, I think we put a lot of effort to make it very unique, very, very cool as
Also
an evolution.
I guess the world is telling you the stories, right? So the way that they will impact, and with the new region, with the new regions and other stuff that comes with it, it all should be really much more immersive, and also the experience of you being in the world or you following the path should be more blending, right? We are still putting there, so we want you to spend their hours there and just sunk into the world and its stories. Yeah.
Somebody
and is the overall scale? Oh, sorry, Lucy. I'll just quickly. Is the overall scale of the game similar to what The Witcher 3 was? Because I think that came in at around about 60 hours for your average playtime. And in terms of the size of the map, are you aiming at a game that is a similar size and shape to The Witcher 3, or are you looking for something bigger, maybe something a bit more condensed?
That's a good question. Fun fact: I give you I share with you guys an anecdote. First, before I answer the question, I remember when we've been thinking about how many hours you'll need to, let's say, finish Hearts of Stone or Blood and Wine. When we throw the numbers like 5-10 maybe, and Blood and Wine like maybe 10-15, and we ended up with 30 hours. So it's this is exactly like this is this chaos theory. Of course, empirically, we have so much knowledge regarding the structure of Witcher 1, 2, 3, the structure of Cyberpunk, all the expansions. So we use this data, but we look at the scale a little differently. So we don't want to be kind of a servant to the numbers. You know what I mean? Yeah, the map is definitely more or less the same when it comes to the size, the amount of quests, more or less the same, right? But again, the game is going to be big. But also the game, like the ambition of the entire team is
the
huge.
size of the ambition.
Exactly. The ambition is huge. So the first and foremost, we want to deliver the super compelling experience. So again, quality over quantity. But definitely what we can promise, yes, this game is going to be pretty big. Right? It's going to be big, comparable to everything we've prepared so far. But I cannot tell you if gonna be 90%, 85, or
Yeah.
But
So the
but
square meters are
yeah.
not the most important in only part.
yeah.
I was going to ask, so I mean, when Witcher 3 came out, though, we kind of had this, it was this watershed moment. Like, so many games were trying to emulate and like take things from Witcher and incorporate them into their own games. What have you been playing that you're kind of interested in, that you've seen come out, that you want to maybe put in, or like?
Okay, in the last decade, like
In the
some
last decade.
that's this is what I personally love, is that this industry is evolving all the time, and you get these diamonds each year that inspires you, and I believe that everything is remixed. Generally, like when you look at the past Hitchcock stuff, or let's say Kubrick, like look what's going on in the cinema, like cannot wait for Nosferatu right now. So it's happening same. It's the same kind of pattern, which is great because we learn from each other. We push the bar. That makes this industry super cool. There were like several games that I loved in the last decade that inspired me personally, like Red Dead Redemption, for example, too. I love it big time. Love the Ragnarok, the new North, right? God of War, and there's several other titles, right? But also when it comes to the way we make games, we also learn a lot in Cyberpunk. So you can compare, for example, I don't know, Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk, and let's extract, let's say, aspect of, let's say, gameplay. Definitely, gameplay was pushed way more in Cyberpunk comparing it to Witcher, right? So as we're having the team of over 400 people, we just mixed. It's a mixed team. People that remember Wild Hunt, people that remember Cyberpunk. It's a mix of talent, and the idea is, okay, how we can apply all the lessons learned that from the last decade to be able to evolve the Witcher experience. So we always have this rule that we are like trying to raise the bar with each next game, and we are very constructively critical about things we do. So for sure, we can expect the evolution of all the aspects. Like even like artistically, we, like look at this, right? Like let's compare it. There are some common denominators when it comes to this. We call it internally like this painterly look. We are like inspired by great painters, the Flamand painters, for example. So when you look at this and compare it to Witcher 3 Wildkind, artistically, more or less, you have this warmth that comes in when you look at the picture, but it's way more realistic than it used to be because we want to make this experience in a way that you will have more chance to feel these emotions that on characters' faces, because this is what we do. In the end of the day, we make emotions, right?
But I think that maybe to sum it up, is like we do monitor all the time what is happening, right? We do check our community as well. Of course, we are players. We look back with the story lesson learned from our project. So I think it's a mix of everything. But on the top of that is a direction that we just want, no matter what is happening in the context. Yeah. So there is a plan for it. Of course, we are checking it, but we most of like almost everybody are players anyway, right? So you can always bring from very unexpected places the inspiration. Yeah. That
From gamers to gamers.
Yeah,
we are gamers. Yeah.
Speaking of Cyberpunk, obviously, we all recall the launch. It didn't go so well. What has changed at the studio or in the development process to ensure that same sort of launch doesn't happen again in the future?
Oh my God, so much. Yeah, really. I mean, thank you for question. And honestly, it was really tough time for us. But you learn from your lesson, right? The harder it gets you. So it changed, I think, the way we think about ourselves as a studio, right? With the humbleness of what may happen. And we do change, you probably heard about the transformation. So it goes through communication, our honesty to each other on many levels. The way we also process with the plannings, with the how we approach the topics, what can be achieved, right? The scale, the ambition. because it's always there, of course. And then what can be done, what's needed when it comes to the business context. We try to be more also open with our team too, so they are all heard, but at the same time aware about the context, right? So it's all working together. So I think it's really, really amazing. Yeah. We also we do have. I think that we mentioned it sometimes before. Is that we have more of the cross-functional teams as well, right? So we iterate really fast, quickly. So to learn where we are as soon as possible. We play the game all the time from the beginning. So I think that was the most important thing. In the pre-production, that in the 3 weeks after, we just let it be playable on the console.
Always working
so we
game,
keep
right?
on that, right? So that is also, I think, very, very important to monitor all the time the status of it, right? So, I guess for the also maybe worth to mention is that it's not a rocket science, of course, but we do when it comes to the staging of the project and gating it. We are really much more into details with all the acceptance criteria, and do we actually did it? Is it a painting grass green, or are we feeling confident to move forward? Yeah, and then if we are, I don't know, having some delays or there are some struggles, to make some conscious decision. Okay, but it has the consequences what we do without, and also our how we communicate with the board and with the leadership group and with the team. Also between the projects actually, because now we have more project advance, right? So it's very cool because we have a lot of to learn from each other, which is really nice. And they did it. We don't have to figure out this. Let's take it. So I think this is amazing. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, but definitely like many things changed like since then. Like production wise, as Gosha mentioned, process wise, even when it comes to the overall culture in the company, like people are way more, would say, mindful and more empowered, but with this spark of my favorite word, accountability. So it's this like kind of like the accountability culture we want to have at the company. So all these puzzles kind of click and kind of adds to each other to make the overall process healthier and more deterministic, right? Because like we want to be in a positive sense, like really critical about where we are at the current moment, to be able to have the best, the most educated call, to be able to stop, rethink, reschedule, and move forward. So that's the way. I really like this way because that makes that builds a super cool like sense of secure, sense of control in the entire team, and I'm very proud for that because that was a tough lesson you mentioned, but I believe that we got a super great let's call it experience. Right?
And I also feel that the culture of the feedback. So we are honest with each other and having some like finding this balance of having, because we are more than 400 people, right, in the project and 1,000 in a company. So to find this balance between being already a big company, but at the same time, still have fun from what we are doing, to understand the vision of the game, to understand how I can participate to that, what we can do. So we have amazing team on which are so we were really happy, and I think it changed a lot. And on the other side, especially that we are right now after announcements, and it's still a way to go for us before the release, but the expansion for the Cyberpunk, right, the Phantom Liberty, it's already showing that we did learn the lesson when it comes to the marketing campaigns when it started, so it hits much later in a development, so it's closer to the release, so we do not make this kind of release that it was in the Cyberpunk.
Sure. At the same time, I mean, Cyberpunk ended up being a pretty remarkable game in the end, And so are there any aspects of Cyberpunk that you feel are going to make their way into The Witcher, either directly or just by way of inspiration?
Or guns, maybe?
Oh my god. Ciri with a gun.
All right, I'm gonna share
this
this.
car, right? Right?
We won't give Ciri mantis blades and machine guns.
Damn it. God damn.
No, like there are a few aspects, like when it comes to as I've mentioned before, also gameplay wise, right? The way we approach LD generally, level design in general, especially encounters, that we're putting also this agency in the center, to giving you more choices to role play your character around combat. That was a great lesson from Cyberpunk. We definitely want to keep because we believed it worked out very well, and there was like, if there is an opportunity to evolve, like I believe there's always opportunity to evolve, right? All aspects, but for sure gameplay in Witcher 3 is something that we need to push. And yeah, definitely experience from Cyberpunk is priceless.
So when can we learn more? This was a great tease, but when can we start hearing more?
In the future.
Future is good.
Future good.
So in Cyberpunk there's no future, but in The Witcher
there is still no, but it's so hard actually because we are so excited about everything and there's so much more there already, and then we cannot talk about it yet. So, but it's all worth it, and I guess that this teasing and for us seeing people talking about it's great because it's a space for the creativity of the people, the imagination to push it forward, and so we will just with small bits. And also,
like
to not build up the hype also too much with details.
Yeah, worth to mention for sure is that this bit from yesterday, it's not the starting of our marketing campaign.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It was simply finally, as Gosia mentioned, finally we cannot say Witcher 4. We will probably, it will take months to forget about Polaris. You know what I mean? Revealing
all
Ciri.
The question like, should we now change the fails naming? And I said, oh no, this is.
You can finally wear the jackets and the merch and everything.
Exactly. Revealing Ciri as the main protagonist, being already Witcher, that gives you a promise that you will experience what that means really to become one. And that was this most important bit. Communicate, hey, we are here doing this with that. And then at some point we'll start the marketing campaign for sure. But right now, let us cook. And we can promise.
Yes, sir.
This is already
You got it.
Yeah.
Leave us alone.
Exactly. No,
But we will, popping up here and there.
Yeah, we will for sure. We'll just, raise the hand. Here we are.
Here you go.
But yeah, absolutely. Right now, like as Gosia mentioned, like 2 weeks ago, we've entered production. So much to do. So super great adventure ahead of us. And but there's going to be time that we'll talk more about that. I can only promise that ambition is huge.
Yeah, and I also think that because you've also coming back to the lesson learned is that we're really so much synchronized with the whole IMC department when it comes to the development and how we are planning to communicate the game, to talk about it together. So we make it right for everybody, just in the right spots. So I really love it as well. Yeah.
Well, excited to learn more. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you so much for having us. Like, time is flying. I don't know how.
I just checked my phone because I was like, I know you gotta go. And I was like, okay, we've got 2 minutes.
Oh my God. Like, we can talk for an hour more. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
Continue to cook. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Good luck to you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, the winners. The big wins on the night.
Yep.
Should we start with?
This is American Idol. Sorry, I just wanted the way you did that.
God damn it. No, I mean, Black Myth obviously won Player's Choice. I don't think that was ever not going to happen.
Can I just say that category itself is a massive proof positive of why the whole let's just let people vote 100%. That should never be a thing. That's not how this should work.
Damn, anti-democracy over here. Democracy.
3 of the games on this list are gacha games. And the only reason they're on this fucking list is because gacha games bribe their players with free pulls when they vote for them.
But then there's Elden Ring.
And then there's Elden Ring, which is a DLC. And then there's Black Myth Wukong, which obviously is a real video game, So, what
it's okay, Jake almost dropped his camera and now it's upside down. We're just getting power through. We don't have much time in the studio.
Wait, is it filming us, that camera?
It's the backup.
That's the backup
Please
camera.
use that
I didn't know we had a
But
backup
Stu,
camera.
please
Look at
use
us.
that
That's
shot.
great. Sorry, Luce, please continue.
No, looking at the list here, obviously Black Myth walking away with a couple with Best Action Game. His speech though, bants.
Very good, yeah.
Bants.
Acknowledged the criticisms of that game and was
Yeah,
in,
sure.
took it in stride.
Frostpunk getting Best Sim.
Sure.
Good shit. Astro will come back to.
Yes.
Metaphor not winning best music and score.
Wild.
No. Final Fantasy VII, that score, I mean, listen, I've played both games, and Metaphor has a great score, don't get me wrong, but the score for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, oh my god, the number of all-time classic bangers on that, and not obviously they are inspired by the original works of Core, but they're like also very original in their new compositions. So I will fight you on this to the death.
Come over here and do it then, mate. No, I mean, no, I think it's just because I wanted Metaphor to win more. Like it got best art direction for sure.
Yeah.
It did.
It won Game of the Year from
And
GameSpot.com.
narrative.
It won
Game of the Year,
Best
Gamespot.com.
RPG. It also won Best RPG.
Hell yeah.
So
I was gonna say I was surprised Hellblade walked away with 2.
Yeah, Hellblade left no impact on me personally after playing it.
Yeah,
But from a technical standpoint, yes,
Yeah.
like I still agree.
I think Melina's a fantastic
incredible
actor
form.
too.
Yeah.
I really thought it would be Brianna. I really thought it would be Brianna's year.
Yeah.
For Final Fantasy.
Brianna, for what?
For Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy Aerith.
Oh no, I don't agree. I had all my money on Silent Hill to
For
Yeah.
James,
performance.
In
that
the-
was my pick.
In the
Yeah.
room, Silent Hill didn't get anything, but in the room, every time it cropped up, there was
Yeah.
a big cheers for Silent Hill.
Yeah.
So it's so funny that the 2 awards that it won. Sorry, one was for performance and for audio, and Silent Hill 2
Audio is
was
definitely
a
gonna walk away.
real front runner for both of those categories as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But I reckon, look, to be honest, I haven't played Hellblade 2. I've only played 1, so I can't say what her performance was like in the second. I don't know. But
No,
all I
it
would
was-
say
it was-
is
it was great.
that
It was
his
like-
performance
yeah.
in 2 was just like unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, yeah.
Helldivers 2, best ongoing.
That's fair.
Is it? That's an interesting question, right? Because
Good game.
I don't play Helldivers 2, but all I've seen from the outside in is just so much drama about
Yeah.
that game and its community and the nerfs and the seesawing player counts and just there's been so much. I was actually quite surprised that game won best ongoing because it seemed like, again, like let's talk Fortnite, they just hit a new peak concurrent player count of 14 million players in one single moment when they had one of those like live events with like Snoop Dogg and Eminem and shit, right? Whatever, you can talk about what that is as a video game, sure, right. But my point is, I don't know, I was surprised by Helldivers.
I mean, it's a sign of how engaged the audience is. Like, you're never gonna have an ongoing game that no one ever says anything bad about. They just think it's perfect. I think, like, by its very nature, if you are able to establish yourself as a game that exists in people's lifestyles, they're gonna have some things to say about it. And I think on Sony's part, they don't have much now that I guess Destiny's multi-platform, but it's their big, despite their efforts to, make a lifestyle game and games as a service, that's the one that worked out.
popped
And I think it's also because they make granular changes much more frequently than most other games. So that responsiveness and that like quick reaction to the audience means that the audience becomes more vocal because of it. So I think it's a kind of double-edged sword, but it is definitely to me an example of it being a popular one.
I mean, Balatro as well, walking away with a bunch.
Cleaning up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No surprise.
No. I honestly, I did think for a moment, I thought it was going to get Game of the Year. Like, have a Vampire Survivors BAFTA moment from last year. But it was well-deserved. Local Thunk did not. go on
No.
stage. Allegedly, he was there.
It was there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
but-
Jeff said, so, there you go.
But yeah, I think also, wow, shout out to him from
Yeah.
PlayStack for,
Yeah, the GOAT.
because
love him.
he, like, obviously had that speech. And I think Local Thunk, I'm really glad that he insinuated, like, this is yours. You deserve this moment, even if you don't want to be up on the stage. I thought that was a really nice thing.
And very nice and humble for Local Thunk to also want to just highlight other indie games and focus on that.
Yeah,
too.
that
It's
was
nice.
a really cool,
Yeah, good moment.
good moment. Then I guess, I know we're kind of speed running this section of the show, but Astrobot,
Yeah.
so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Like-
game of the year, we're talking, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Game of the Year, and obviously Best Family, 2, right?
It
Yes.
won. There's so many. It's
Best Game Direction.
Family, Best Game Direction. I actually feel like that one. I was the one I was really like, I don't know about that one? Because
Yeah.
I just feel like I guess everyone has a different view in their mind about what they think direction means in that context.
Yeah.
It can mean so many things.
Yes.
For me personally, I'm like, can you really feel the fingerprints of a director or a team of directors on something? And it has a very, like, almost an auteur quality that kind of bubbles up because it just feels so human and deliberate. And, you know, I view Astrobot as a very design-driven game about, like, well, we're going to set it in a casino and they're going to have some time stop stuff. So therefore, things naturally fall out of that idea rather than a human really just thinking the entire time about, like, well, what exactly do I want to say with this scene and this moment and this music choice and composition? Do you know what I mean? So that was the one where I was like, I can see metaphor really winning that category and it making a lot of sense because that's such a deliberate game in every single aspect. Whereas Astrobot, for me personally, I don't know, that didn't feel quite right.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of parallels to when It Takes Two won. Like, I think it's a feel good moment, a feel good winner that people wanted to have at this time, and it feels like, oh yeah, this is the game that needed to win to kind of give us a little bit of like hope and excitement. And although I was definitely pulling for metaphor, the fact that it won and seeing Nico up there and being like emotional about it, it was like, you know what, I'm glad they won it. I have no issues with them winning it, even if it wasn't my pick, because clearly it meant something to them and it means a lot to the people who voted for it as well.
Yeah. It's also interesting to hear too, and when we interviewed him, he said it and it stuck with me, and he said it again on stage, is, you know, the idea of like making games for children as well. It's something that we
and the
kind of
responsibility of being that first game.
Exactly. And like we kind of forget about that sometimes in our like gamer bubble with like cutting people's heads off and stuff. Like, I don't know, it's just nice to think like, oh yeah, there is also that other perspective to games.
And he talked about Nintendo as well, like, which was really
without mentioning Nintendo.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it was quite a funny moment for him to do that, but like a real moment. It was kind of like, well, obviously, if you talk about platformers and their heritage and their impact, and like it obviously makes sense to acknowledge what they're doing in that process.
But then a red dot appeared on his forehead. Mark Cerny in the front row.
They said that Mark Cerny's got like laser eyes and he can like fire them out like he's like Superman at people.
Just getting up there. But yeah, look, I think overall I was definitely happy with that one. I mean, I think I personally would have been okay to see Elden Ring also win, but I mean, most people don't agree with that. I think it's definitely very clear that about 80% of people are like, no, DLC should not win. I understand why, 100%. Personally, though, I think if a DLC is good enough to be in that category, which I think it is, I think it deserves a fair shot. And it was definitely one of the best things that I played this year, so I'd have no problem with it winning.
I've always said you're very smart. Honestly, I've always said it.
Well, speaking about one of the things you played this year, what are you playing over the break?
Well, I just wrapped up. First of all, can we talk about what I just played? Because we haven't even talked about this, and I feel like we need to talk about Indiana Jones.
Yes, good as hell. So good,
dude.
So the other day, it was the day I think before the review embargo gets up. I got a DM from Danny O'Dwyer and a DM from you at the exact same time, which was basically, am I insane or is this game incredible?
Yeah. Like, is this really that good? Well, because it's like, I feel like it was like undersold. Like they were very okay, here's a game. Here's our little Indiana Jones game. And it's huge.
Don't tell anyone it's an immersive sim.
Yeah.
Don't say it.
That's right.
It's a bonk people on the head simulator.
With a plunger.
It's so funny some of the stuff you pick up as well. There's like a toilet brush, and a plunger, and it's just like some stuff you pick up. You're like, one of them is like a fly swatter or something. You're like, Indy, I really don't think that's going to do much damage, man. Like, I really think you got to look around.
You get an achievement for that one though.
Yeah.
If you smack someone, I got
with a guitar too. When you get blam with a guitar and it like breaks.
Sure. I've done that. That was the way stuff breaks. Because I had this one moment where like a Nazi was asleep on a chair.
Oh, in your video, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you walk in with a bollard and you smash him and everything crumples. He just fucking passes out. You're like, oh my God. But it's an incredible game. Like I really went in with very just middling expectations. Because first person Uncharted, sure, why not? Like we'll do that, I guess. That should be fun. But
it's not that at all.
It's so much more than that. It's so much more interesting. Troy Baker's performance as Indy just crushes it. It really just feels, and I actually feel like Voss, the villain, is actually like the best Indy villain ever. Do you know what I mean? Like I actually feel like he's that good.
So I haven't finished it, Are there references to Wolfenstein? Because I found one note, and it said someone Engel, and so Frau Engel is the antagonist of Wolfenstein, or one of them. And I was like, I wonder if they're doing a shared universe thing, or like, oh, that's just an Easter egg.
That's illegal. Disney.
Yeah, I was gonna
no
say,
way.
John Drake coming in, absolutely not. But
They're just watching that pregnant scene, like, oh
Like,
my
what
god,
the
no
fuck?
way.
But that's the thing, like I'm not an Indiana Jones fan, and I've said this about this game in particular. And then the moment for me that this clicked, because I found that opening slow, bit unnecessary. The moment it clicked for me was when you are handed the priest costume, and then you put it on, and I'm like, hey, yo, am I dressing up?
Yeah.
And then I punched a priest in the Vatican, and I was like, oh, okay, we're cooking.
Right.
hanging out on a roof,
fantasies.
just being like, oh,
Looking for stuff.
Yeah.
I think too, just to go back to the villain, what I liked in terms of like the Indiana Jones stuff is that like you see him kind of like really flexing the intellectual part of him.
Yeah.
And it's like he's sparring intellectually with these people. And it's like he's using the encyclopedic knowledge he has. He's speaking all the languages he has throughout this adventure. And it's cool to see. And then like you have Voss, and then you have Gina, who was like a really good companion where I was like, I don't know, like they're doing this again. Like I didn't like his companion in Dial of Destiny. But here she's great. She's like really effective to the story. Her arc is really interesting. They play off of each other really, really well.
Yeah.
And she's gorgeous too.
Yeah. It's weird. It feels like it's a very dense mechanical game, but it doesn't feel over designed. Is a really interesting.
Agree.
And I think it's the way they roll it out and like kind of ramp up in. I mean, they drop you in the Vatican, and Vatican's huge. But the way they introduce the mechanics slowly, even like it takes a little while for you to get a camera, and then it shows you how to use a camera, and then the way it layers it on makes it feel like it's very kind of digestible, despite being quite complicated from a mechanical perspective and it being an immersive sim.
Yeah.
It's very tactile as well. Like it just,
Ralph,
That's the word.
Ralph, we are the same person. I was literally just about to say it's so tactile.
yes.
Like
But I mean,
holding
it
the
is
map,
like you hold up
interacting?
the map. Exactly, and you
Looking
lift
down
up
at
the
the map,
camera, and
like,
you
yeah.
have to turn the key, and you have to press to open doors and stuff. Like they really focused on. They want you to feel those moments of you are affecting an outcome, and there's so few. I mean, there's a waypoint, but that's it. There's really not that many, and there's not like a GPS line on the ground pointing you to stuff, and the UI is overall very light, and you know, there's not like you're not spending time in game menus most. You know what I mean? Like you bring up the journal, but very rarely. You bring up the map quite a bit, I would say. That if I was one criticism, because the layouts of levels I think are a bit much. Sometimes you have to bring up the map a bit too often. But overall, though, it's just very. You just play it as you move through the world and interface with the world rather than trying to interface with a menu or interface with a UI element or whatever. Like it just feels very real and tactile.
Well, it
That's
helps
the
too
perfect
the fact that like you're wandering around, and for me, I had moments like I feel like the line blurred here and there in terms of like what was a side quest, what was a main quest. Like I just was doing stuff. I just wanted to do everything, and it all felt
every piece of field work was.
It all was
good,
useful. It tied into things like.
You know what? Coolest start menu.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Where he's standing there.
And then it goes
badass.
whoop,
Yeah.
straight
cool.
in. So
Good.
if you haven't played it, it's wherever you leave off in the game, when you go back to the main menu, it just shows third person indie in that spot, and then you hit continue and it goes going.
Yeah.
And how it
Neat.
progresses to like towards the end of the game, like when you're facing off against, heavy enemies, like big tank enemies with guns, enemies without guns, it gets a lot more complex where you're like, okay, I'll do this, and then run over here, and then try and pick this up, and try and sneak up behind that guy and throw something at him before the guy with the gun comes over, and then you pick up a gun and shoot him. Like, it really does construct that like Indiana Jones chaos simulator really well. Because at the start of the game, you just have melee enemies like running at you. And it's kind of like, oh, these guys are all dumb. This sucks. But as guns and like as more things get introduced later on, I think it gets much stronger.
While playing it, I've been really enjoying it. I've also been thinking about what that game means for machine games, because it feels like this is their Batman Arkham Asylum City moment where they've got a thing now that is incredibly popular, recognizable, and they've done it really well. And obviously the answer will depend on how it performs in a lot of ways, but does this, and like the Wolfenstein games didn't set the world on fire despite being like crazy good, but are we now locked into Machine Games making Indiana Jones games for a little
I
while?
don't reckon.
Or
I reckon
you don't
it's
think
a
so?
one shot. I don't reckon. I
Really?
feel like, I really believe that. I
don't know
if you just
how-
look at, if you just look at Steam numbers are low, and obviously it's on Game Pass, 100%,
Yeah.
right? But Steam numbers quite low. I personally think that we are of a demographic where Indiana Jones means something to us to varying degrees, right? And I think it means a lot less to a lot of other people. I think you had one good last puff of this franchise. I can't see it going for another
That's
one. I can't. I think if you were to say, I reckon you're going to get a lot more people buying a new Wolfenstein game than you would another Indiana
for sure.
Jones follow-up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think from the raw dollars and cents perspective, I would bet against it. I would love another one. Don't get me wrong, but it's just that's my view.
I wouldn't. I would rather they one and done it and come up with something new, or go back to
Sure.
Wolfenstein.
Yeah, like we made the ultimate Indiana Jones game,
Yeah.
and now we walk away from that.
Yeah.
You know?
That's it. That's
And
it.
Unbelievable for a
Yeah, huge flex.
licensed
Yeah.
property.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, they did it with Riddick, and it's basically the
Yeah.
largest
Yeah.
series we've
Yeah.
had yet,
Yeah.
so-
Exactly. All these years later.
Yeah.
As soon as
Join the
he's playing the game and his hands are just always kind of out in front, I'm like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
stuff.
hell yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's great. I recommend it to pretty much everybody, like especially Indiana Jones fans, obviously. But yeah, it's a good time.
the music.
Really good.
Oh, don't even get me
on.
started as a John Williams weird freak. The motifs are perfect. How they tie things in, how they change things.
The little bling when you get spotted.
Excellent.
Yes, that was
Gives me-
very
oh
good.
my god.
Very
And then
good.
also all the other stuff, like the little touches, like the lighting and how some characters are lit just across the top of the face. Like just
They-
really
Absolutely.
paid
They're a
attention.
good crew. They know what they're
Yeah,
doing.
they're
They make
cooking.
some good ass
Yeah.
games.
All right. Well, that
We
was
should talk
Indiana
about
Jones.
our holiday backlogs. What are you guys playing
Yeah.
over the break?
Oh boy. Real quick. I don't know. I don't want to go first. I'm overwhelmed actually. Yeah, what do I play?
I want to play 1,000 times Resist.
Mm.
Heard so many good things. I was really sad I didn't get a chance to get to it. Also, things have been very stressful recently, and I was
Yeah.
like, I think I need something a little lighter. So now that I'm not stressed anymore, let's see. How depressed can I be? But also, I missed Persona 3 Reload.
Yeah, Persona 3 is a big one.
Persona 3
nice.
Reload. So maybe get through that one too.
Yeah, I have this thing where I've explained. Lucy's heard me say this a million times now, so she's gonna be like,
Oh, so wait, no,
"No,
you gave me Soul Reaver, so I'm gonna do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hell yeah.
Because of the way I have to I try and play as much of a game we're reviewing as possible. That means that I never finish a game because, especially in this season when it's like a bunch of games are coming out. So I'm a decent way into like Metaphor. I played a lot of Metaphor actually, but Silent Hill 2 I'm a decent way into. Indie I've played a bunch of. I played Soul Reaver, so I want to go back and finish those games
Finish things
and
off,
like
yeah,
and
same.
do it without having like that gun to my head. Like a review is coming, you need to know about this game to verify the review and properly check it. So I'm excited to sit down with Silent Hill properly and the rest of Metaphor and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
I'm the same way, like finishing Metaphor, stuff like that. But this was a year where I also said no to certain things, like I just didn't have time or I just wanted to cover something else. So I haven't played Rebirth. So I want to try and get that in, cram that in. Still
Jesus.
Wakes the Deep.
Oh, yeah.
Is something I really want to play. Like I finished Neva. Neva was great. Yeah, and also the Alien VR game. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, nice.
Alien
Yeah, that's out
Incursion.
this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that horror game that everyone loves on PC that's like 3 hours long? and
Oh,
is-
Mouthwashing.
Mouthwashing.
Yeah, I want to do
That's-
that.
that's
Yeah,
next
that
on my
came out of
list,
nowhere.
yeah.
I heard
Yeah.
people talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, also Lorelai and the Laser Eyes. 'cause
Yeah. That's
a
just
good
being
game.
here at the Game Awards and having conversations with people, I was pitched and like, you should play this, like by like 10 people back
I
to
know,
back.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And I was like,
Yeah.
finally, I'll listen to Lucy. Okay.
And
I just had to have
Curse of
10 other
Golden
people
Idol
tell me.
too. Same sort of
Oh
deal.
yeah, Golden Idol.
Yeah.
Yep, Golden Idol 2.
Yeah.
Ralph, what are you playing?
I'm gonna kill myself with Path of Exile. I'm just gonna overdose on that shit.
Yeah, that's the other one.
It's
Yeah,
very
there it is.
Yeah,
sweaty
Just
boy.
gonna
Yeah.
Just go all in, man. So
Mhm.
I just started. I'm already about 10 hours in now.
Nice.
And the plan is just to keep playing that because obviously there's like hundreds of hours of content. But yeah, that's one I really wanted to sink into. And then there are there's just some backlog stuff. Like I do want to do Lorelei as well. I do want to do Golden Idol. I do.
You can
wanna
do
finish
Golden Idol on your
Metaphor.
phone.
Yeah.
Say again.
Golden Idol's on your phone. If you
Yes,
want to play
I
it
know,
for,
but
for bed.
I want
Golden
to,
Idol?
sit properly, and I don't know. That's the kind of game I want to play sitting down on my couch and
Yeah,
sit through
fair.
it. You know.
The one other one, Marvel Rivals.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
good. It's a good time.
I want to give it a shot.
Yeah, it's pretty casual. Like I've been hopping into it pretty casually, but it's fun. I don't know how
Overwatch
long
likers.
it's gonna. Yeah.
Yeah, I played the beta and I enjoyed it. I also know that that's not what I want to play more of at this point.
Yeah.
It's just didn't really. I think it's quite messy and frantic and like if I was going to play a game like that, I don't think I'd play Marvel Rivals, you know. But it's obviously popping off and gone huge. So
Yeah.
I actually really like the look of that Frag Punk game, which which showed off. And I've heard good things about it as well. It looks like a good time. I think that'll be fun.
Creative.
But yeah, man, it's really just Path of Exile for me, and also just honestly not playing games over the break. You know, like I'm gonna take 3 weeks off, like from December until mid-Jan.
Hell yeah.
And I'll be doing some stuff, of course, right? There's some work to be done for January, getting ready, whatever. But you know, I wanna just like touch grass a bit. You know, get outside, just
Play some tennis.
Tennis.
play some tennis. Play some tennis, and I think that's important for what we do and how we do it because we're just always playing stuff all the time. And I think it's nice to just sort of like really like wind down to like 20% because I still need a 20% fix, right? If I did 0%, I'd go fucking crazy. But I right now, like I'm definitely running white hot, and I just need to cool off to like a 20%, and then I'm like run that for 3 weeks. I'll feel really good.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
With that.
Yeah, well, do we want to quickly do a show and tell?
I don't have any show and tell.
I have nothing to show
I got
or
nothing.
tell.
I've done nothing.
That's it.
So...
All I've been
How
doing is
about
trying to
friendship?
frantically get through the end of the year. So
yeah.
Well,
I mean that does it, I guess, for FPS this year.
Another year down. Thank
I know,
you
right?
if you've listened and watched, and like the feedback and just every little bit of anything. Thank you.
People who come up to us in public.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
We had a bunch of people at the Game Awards, which was lovely.
Yes. We are grateful for your time.
Thank you for bringing the shoes, Nathan. You signed those. Ralph, we have to get you to sign the shoes.
Next time, for sure.
No, it's been a good year. I mean,
fantastic year.
Overall, games industry has gone to shit.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm grateful for you boys and for this user project.
Yes.
And our
Yes.
users. So thank
It is
you.
a very successful
things to play.
project.
Things to play next year. Things to talk about. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Before we get too soppy, I'm just gonna cut us off. And, we'll see you in Ralph? When are we back?
Oh, we're going to be back. Our first episode's going to go live around 18th of Jan. Because we're going to take a bit of time off, and we only do every 2 weeks. So we'll, our first episode, look for it around that weekend, 18th of Jan. And then
Please
we're
be
going to
excited.
be every other week after that, rolling on right on through.
It's going to be a big year for us. I got big plans.
Ooh.
Yeah, we do have some plans.
We do
have
actually
some
have
things
some
we're cooking on. So do look forward. Please, as the Japanese say, please look forward to
Please look forward to it.
Please be excited.
All right, Jake.
Yeah.
For the last time in 2024.
Tie your shoes and go to bed. Happy 2024. Be good.